I want to talk about, because I think so often now, man, Coach, you're still a part of a small percentage. I think here in Georgia, we are spoiled because we see so many kids go to college.
Right.
But Savannah State, Coach, there's a lot of kids that wish.
No facts.
I was a hell of a football player.
Right.
Yo, what's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Told by Youth. I'm your host, Coach Darius Griffin, and today we have a very special guest, Coach Garrett Williams, Coach 10, QB trainer, quarterback guru, and offensive coordinator for Morrow High School. Am I saying it correct,
Yes,
Coach?
sir. Morrow High
Good to
School.
have you here, and he's joined by my man named Jalen. Let me mess it up, Jalen Mick Wilson. Jalen, Coach, good to have you guys here, man. Look, man, before we get started, I always like to say what I'm thankful for. So we go around the room, and I want you guys to tell me what you're thankful for. So I'll start it off first, so you don't mind. So today, I'm thankful, Coach, for you for extending the olive branch and want to come and just talk a little bit. Jalen, for you coming along so we can learn a little bit about you, talk about public speaking and your journey as a quarterback. And I'm also thankful on this Father's Day weekend that I get the opportunity to sit with other fathers and talk about what it means to be a father and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thankful for today, guys. What about you, Coach? What are you thankful for?
Man, I'm thankful for this opportunity for you having me and this platform, that you have for, not only the kids, but coaches and, kids and coaches to be able to tell their story. I feel like, this is motivation. You never know who's watching.
Absolutely.
Right? And what you can possibly do or how you can motivate somebody else, a stranger. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely, Coach. My pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Jalen, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for my family, my coaches giving me the opportunity, and you also giving me the opportunity to try this out and try something new to better my skills.
Absolutely. I love it. And what I love most about this, Jalen, is for you, me and Coach talk. You're just getting put on the spot and you hopping into the fire. Just like some of those situations you're going to be put in as a quarterback. So,
Absolutely.
fellas, if you don't mind, man, we do a little something here. I got to thank our sponsors. This show is sponsored by Positivity Water.
Okay.
So if you guys don't mind, make sure let's take a good shot of this Positivity Water before we get started.
Awesome.
And have a positive show.
Awesome.
All right, let's get it kicked, guys. So, Coach, I'll start it off with you. And, guys, this is just a conversation, right? I always tell people the important thing about interviews is just to make it a conversation, right? Nothing more, nothing less. So, Coach, I'm going to get to know you a little bit. Jalen, we'll get to know you a little bit. And we're just going to cross-pollinate and have a conversation. Coach, I like you said, you started off with about this show. We want to learn about you. Could you talk a little bit about your early journey, your childhood journey? And I want you to remember, Coach, this was designed to, one, teach public speaking, interview skills, but to also, I want to glean as much information from you as a person, your journey. So those kids you coach, Jalen, those other youth athletes out there, they can get something, don't make the mistakes me and you made or find a better way to that path. So tell me about your childhood and how you grew up and your days in sports.
Cool. So, again, my name is Coach Williams, Garrett Williams on Instagram. The kids know me as Coach 10.
Yes, sir.
I'm a local. I'm from here. I'm from the south side of Atlanta. Born and raised. Grew up here. Went to school on the east side. Graduated from Cedar Grove High School. Been playing quarterback since like 6th grade. So I started playing sports, however, when I was 6. And my dad had me playing baseball. So I went from playing baseball to throwing the football in the backyard with him. And he just knew I had something. So we went from baseball to football. Funny story is, when I started playing rec football at first, I was an offensive lineman.
And where'd you play rec at, if you mind
It was JAAA at the time.
Okay,
so it was Jonesboro, with the Jonesboro Bulldogs. So I made the Division I team as a lineman. So, I was excited. Never played football before, but my dad was like, nah, bro, we're not doing this. He was like, you finna play quarterback. So he took me from the Division I team and took me down to the Division II team where I played quarterback, and I lit it up. So by the end of the season, they did something called a Turkey Bowl.
Right.
So the Division I team wanted me to come back. My dad was like, nah, you straight, bro. We're going to keep you here. So that was kind of like, I knew at that moment, like, I might be special playing this position.
Right.
So, I went, to middle school in Clayton County, wound up going to Jonesboro High School for a little bit. Things didn't kind of work out how we thought they were going to work out there. So my dad made another power move and was like, you're going to Cedar Grove High School. And I'm like, well, Cedar Grove.
What grade was this when y'all decided to make that jump?
I was in 11th grade.
Oh, so this is a...
I was later on, I was a junior in high school.
Right.
But I was starting at Jonesboro, but it was, it was just things that were missing. My dad,
Absolutely.
And as a child, you can't see it. Dad was just like, hey, we about to make another move. And of course, me, I was skeptical because, I grew up with these kids.
Yes.
But, he was like, trust me. So I was just like, all right, bro, let's do it. So we made the move, and it's probably the best decision I ever made. Like,
So
I
you
don't
go
know if
from
I'll
Jones-
be here if we didn't make that move.
So you go from Jonesboro to Cedar Grove.
Yes, sir.
In your junior year. So talk about, if you don't mind, could you talk about, because people, I mean, the transfer portal right now in high school football is
It wasn't
hot, right? It's,
right. It wasn't, and it wasn't big
probably-
like
right.
that.
It wasn't like it is now, but could you talk about it?
So it was for me, it was a culture shock. So back then, Jonesboro, you know, just the south side of Atlanta was a different demographic.
Right.
So, you know, the school was 50%, you know, African American, you know, 40%, you know, you had your white kids, your Asians, it was just mixed. So going to Cedar Grove was a whole culture shock for
Right.
me. It was predominantly black. But, you know, my dad, he always felt like, look, you know, you can blend in anywhere. I just
Absolutely.
feel like you're that type of kid. So when I got there, you know, it was love, and, you know, it just took off. I took off.
All right, so now you're there at your 11th grade year. Do you immediately become the starter, or
Well, see, this was after football season.
this is after football season?
Yeah,
Okay,
so it was like February.
so you got to
I was
grind.
playing varsity basketball. I mean, I left like in the middle of basketball season.
Got it.
Yeah, so it was kind of like I came in like, you know, they were wanting me to play, you know, start at quarterback. So it was a culture shock, and then it was like people already knew I was coming, and I didn't even know, you know. So when my first day in school, people like, oh yeah, this is the kid who's gonna come play quarterback. And I'm just like, dang, like, what's going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know it was that big.
Right.
And then, like, he was putting me in front of scouts. So, you know, I'm getting mail. Like, as soon as I get there, scouts are coming to see me. So I'm like, okay, like, this is going to be something
real.
special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was really, like, thankful that my dad made that move.
You talked about that journey, right? That switch. So now it's your senior year. The letters are starting to come. Talk about your senior year, if you don't mind, and what went into that campaign.
It was a lot of pressure because I knew I wanted to play college football. But going into my senior year, I was just, you know, 6'3" kid, 200 pounds.
Hold on now, Coach. Yeah, 6'3" kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty big, right?
No offers, right? So
Right.
I'm like, dang, it's a lot of pressure on me. Like, I got to perform. So, you know, start the season off, I think I had like a AC sprain on my left shoulder. So we played Tucker High School the first game, and, you know, got an AC sprain. So I'm sitting out 2 games. I'm like, dang, you know, time is ticking. So I got to come back, you know, and make a comeback and play pretty well.
Right.
So, you know, those last 7 games of the season, you know, I just had to play lights out. And I knew at that point, well, I didn't really know how to, you know, the scouting, recruiting thing went. I knew I wanted to go play Division I football. So my coach was telling me, like, you know, you came in late, the Power 5 thing might not be an option for you. So the biggest offer I had at the time was West Point. Army offered me, like, right after the season. So I'm a kid. Army's in New York. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go to school here. You know, my dad, of course, my parents are excited about it. For reasons
you can't see, right?
For reasons I didn't know at the
Right.
time, right? And I'm just like, well, Dad, you went to FAM. Like, bro, I'm trying to go
Yeah.
to HBCU like you. Like,
Right.
no, you're going here. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, I'm going to let the decision be yours. So they came to my house and everything. And I wound up not taking that offer and wound up going a different route. You know, had I known what I know now, maybe I would have took a different route, but I'm not supposed to know what I know now.
Right.
So it worked out how it's supposed to work out.
How it's supposed to work out.
Yeah, so I still had a chance to play 4 years of college football. I played Division I AA for 2 years, and then I transferred down to
And where
Division
was
II.
that at? The 2 years at
Savannah State. We was in the MEAC at the time. So now they're down D2.
Yep.
But I played there for 2 years. Set a couple of records there.
No, you can't just breeze
Breeze
over.
that.
Come on, now, go. So now,
Right, so-
Jalen, when you say records,
Right.
there are records, right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
so-
So you're at Savannah State from Cedar Grove,
Right.
and talk about that experience.
So I came in, man, you know, like I said, like I came in my senior year, no offers.
I don't want to cut you off before you
Right.
get too deep down that, Jalen, because I want to talk about, because I think so often now, man, Coach, you're still a part of a small percentage. I think here in Georgia, we are spoiled because we see so many kids go to college.
Right.
But Savannah State, Coach, there's a lot of kids that wish. I wish.
No, facts.
I was a hell of a football player.
Right.
And I wish I would have had the chance to go to Savannah State.
No,
So
absolutely.
you get to Savannah State, and then you start setting records. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Right. So I get there and I come in, my coach, Richard Basil at the time, and he just taught me everything about being a quarterback.
Shout out, Coach.
Right. So Richard Basil, short story, right? he played quarterback at Savannah State. He was Shannon Sharp's quarterback at Savannah State. So a lot of people didn't know Shannon Sharp went to Savannah State University.
Right.
So he set a whole bunch of records there. And when I got in there, he was like, man, I'm about to mold you into being like the starting quarterback here. And I'm thinking like, okay, bro, like I'm 18 years old, like I'm just a kid. So, you know, I'm coming in there, like by game 2, our starter's not doing so well. So they put me in the second half. We played a school called Elon. Elon's it was FCS school out of North Carolina at the time.
Yep.
So I come in that second half, I light it up, go like 13 for 18, couple touchdowns.
18-year-old freshman.
18-year-old booty face freshman. Like I'm looking like a kid, like through and through. So the next week, my first start is at Cleveland Brown Stadium on national television. We playing on BET. We playing Morgan State.
Wow. So
I'm like, dang man, like I'm a 18-year-old kid, you know, about to start, and my first start is gonna be in an NFL stadium. So long story short, it didn't go as I, you know, as you playing that dream start, like the Disney movie, like, oh, this kid's about to come in and just light it up.
Still gotta play football.
I struggled. So he pulled me in the second half, but then a week after that, we played Howard University at home. I threw 4 touchdowns, 338 yards, and then I never looked back again. No.
Wow, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And I like for our viewers, Jalen, to understand the struggles don't stop. The football and the adversity doesn't stop when you make it to the next level. Like so, you getting pulled.
Yeah.
As you should as a freshman. Most freshmen will have some ups and downs, but you getting pulled, and what does that do for you?
It gave me a time to just think. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to have me overwhelmed, and of course, as a kid, you like, dang. Is that my only opportunity? You know, like, you know, did I let the team down? And, you know, not being able to see it then, but see it now as a coach, I needed to be pulled.
Right.
I needed to see some more. And then a week later, I'm back in the fire. And, you know, I succeed, and I wound up breaking in 9 games, you know, 3 records. I still hold the most completions at the school in a single season, 180 completions.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Most attempts. Most touchdowns by freshmen. Second in yardage as far as single season yardage, a little bit over 2,200 yards passing in a single season. So these are things that still stand there. Granted, we weren't winning a lot of games, but I learned how to play quarterback there.
Yes.
So when I transferred to Fort Valley, that was a program, and then I learned how to win. So now, you know, I just put all that together.
Full circle.
Right.
I think it's important because you guys are humble. I meet there's so many good trainers, so many good football guys. And you would, when I met you, there's probably wasn't a reason to tell me you're a record holder at Savannah State and your whole to run down your resume. But
Right.
I think it's important for kids to know that, right? Your resume. Like I'm not just a quarterback trainer who's out here because I like quarterbacking.
Right.
I've done it. I've set records.
For sure.
So I think it's important when your viewers see this that, man, you've done it at the highest level. What I'm telling you works. This is from pain, from trials and tribulation
100%.
Experience. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you. Well, because before we move on, I don't want to leave Jalen hanging there. I want to get him involved in this conversation.
Yeah, talk to him.
Jalen, when I think, Coach, you correct me if I'm wrong. Jalen, I think you're making a switch into the quarterback position, right? Could you tell me a little bit about what did you play before, and then how did you come to want to be a quarterback, and what grade you're in?
All right. So basically, I started off playing football when I was 7. I started off at DN. Everything was looking good then.
Yep.
My coach, he wanted me to switch to linebacker. So I started playing middle linebacker, and I was just a natural at it, and it just came easy to me.
Absolutely.
So my whole career, I've been playing that all the way up to middle school. And then the first game came, I was playing running back and middle linebacker still. Our quarterback wasn't the best,
Right.
so he got injured. Coach took him out, and then coach just threw me in there, like no practice, no nothing.
Let me ask you a question before you go on. Why do you think Coach chose you to put you in there?
Cause I mean, at practice, I would always show off my arm strength, and then he knew I was a guy. Like I could handle the pressure and just go in there and carry the team.
That's what I was looking for. I figured because I'm a coach, and typically, if my youth football, middle school, we ain't got but one, maybe 2 if we lucky, right?
Right.
So if my one goes down, who's my next dog that can throw the ball, who can run it, who can probably still make a play if stuff breaks down? So you understood that, but go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
So he put me in back there at quarterback. First play, I just scrambled out of the pocket, saw my receiver downfield, and I just threw it up to him, and he caught it. And then from there, I just continued playing. And then at the end of the season, we decided that we was gonna take it serious.
Okay.
And then like off season came, I met Coach G.
What grade are we in now?
This 8th grade. Like,
it's 8th grade. Okay. Yep. So you met Coach G in 8th grade. Okay.
Yeah.
So Clayco Elite, they started 7-on-7, and I decided to join them. And I met Coach G there. And then ever since then, he been training me, coaching me up to get where I am now at Jonesboro High School, 9th grade, going into the 10th, and about to play my sophomore season.
As the starter. Not you're fighting for it. We got time. Okay, good. But I like the fact, and when I met you at Coach's training, I thought you were like an 11th grade or something. You're a big 10th grader. You got some good size for a rising sophomore. So and a live arm too. So you're in the off season now, fighting, and this is not a controversial type question.
Right.
How do you feel about your chances?
Great.
And you said that was an arrogant. That was a Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Great. You know what I'm saying? So you feel like you got a shot.
Of course.
Okay. Let me ask you why and put you on the spot. Coach is here. You met him a few years ago. What has Coach and his training meant to your development?
It's meant a lot to me because at first I was questioning myself when I first started because like I was like, man, I don't even know if I should be doing this. Like,
right.
It wasn't me. I was playing linebacker
right.
my whole life.
You hitting and running. You're right.
So, but he kept coaching me, talking me through it, helping me out, and then now like it's just a part of me. Like I want to do it.
Well, man, go ahead, Coach. You about to say something, sir?
Man, yeah. So funny story is, he's like one of the very first kids I started training. Right. So I met him. We did. He tried out for the Clayco Elite 7-on-7 team. This was Christmas. I'm sorry, New Year's Eve, 2022. So he tried out for the team then. I didn't know much about him. He was playing 8th grade basketball in his middle school. So a couple weeks later, it was a huge game in the county. I decided to show up.
Right.
Dad sees me on the sideline and was like, "Hey man, I'm really considering bringing him to you." So I'm just like, yeah, for sure, bro. Bring them to me. Like, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
So, we start doing sessions. And
so when dad makes that, are you training anybody yet? Or you just...
I trained like 1 or 2 kids. I was
Do you even know you want to get into training at that point?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And after I tell you the story, I'll tell you like the defining moment that really made me want to train kids. So, we start training and, his dad is very, consistent. And once they locked in, that was it.
Right.
So it was kind of a process. Like I really had to break him down to build him up.
Right.
Because it was rough at the beginning, but now it's just like, hey, bro, you know what to do. Hey, I'll give you a rhythm. Hey, 3-step rhythm, man. Look off, alert backside, come to your front side read, check down. And he can just do it just like it's nothing.
Wow.
Right. So it's just a real testimony, to what we've, because all this stuff is a blur to me. But then when I get to sit down here and talk, I'm like, dang, bro, like
we did, right? We built this thing from the ground up.
No, this is really like how these kids say out the mud. Like, no, that's really exactly what it is. So it's a blur, but then I look back like, dang, it's really a journey. It's a process. And, just to be down here, like I said, when we're talking about being thankful, bro, you don't even know how much this means to me to be able to even talk about this, with this kid is dope.
Yeah, one thing I love to do is we love to, not only do we tell your stories, but I love to tell the trainers and the developers because I think people miss, and I know from being a coach, and I was someone who, as a coach, I tried to always develop and mentor, right? I think there's something for mentors and trainers who not only just talking about the X and O's of the game, but the ones that really build you up, right? When you're down and see something in you, I think they're super important. So shout out to you for seeing something in young Jalen.
For sure.
And the process, we ain't done yet. The journey's still.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? We still in the journey.
Right.
So Coach, you mentioned you was going to say, how did you know you want to train? Like, where did that love? I mean, obviously you're a competitor. The love for the game is there, but where did that come from?
Man, so I put football down. Like after college, I played arena ball for a stint, and I went and got my degree, and I just kind of like shied away from it. I watch it, became a father. So things, my priorities were elsewhere.
They will shift quick.
So then I came to a point in my life where it's like, I need change.
Yes.
So I was working with at-risk youth, with Department of Family and Child Services. And at the time I was burnt out. So I walked away from that and got into logistics for a second, just working like deliveries with FedEx and these odd jobs just to get a break.
Right.
So I was my son was playing AAU at the time, he still is. And I was just watching how his coach, moved and, how he was developing my son. And I was driving trucks at the time, like little delivery trucks. And I was like, dang, bro, I need something's got to go. Something's got to change. So I listened to this podcast. I've never listened to a podcast before on my phone while I'm driving, got it on the Bluetooth. And I'm like, let me listen to some podcasts on like quarterbacks. So I really feel like God just put this in my
Absolutely,
heart.
yes.
So I'm listening to this podcast, and I forgot the name of it, but Brock Purdy's quarterback trainer was on the podcast talking as a guest. And he's talking about his journey. He was from Australia. Guy came over from Australia to America to become a college quarterback.
Right.
So in his college career, it didn't really go as planned as he thought it was, as he wanted it to, right? So he's just talking. He's like, man, I gave up on football. I started a family. I'm like, dang, this dude sounds like me.
Right. Like a lot of people.
Right. He was just like, I had an okay career. I gave up on football. I didn't want to coach. He said, I just jumped into training. And I was like, dang, this is like, bro, like, this is a sign. And he was like, he stumbled upon Brock Purdy. And then he was like, everything else just kind of took off. So
you only need one.
Right. And I was just like, at that moment, I was like, in that defining moment, I was like, I'm finna start training kids. So like the next weekend, I went and bought some stuff. And my shift was from like 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I would get up like at 7 o'clock, train kids from like 8 to like 11, have my stuff in the truck. And then I would just, boom, get on shift, take a little bird bath, boom. And I would do that like 2 days out the week. And I was training anybody. It didn't even matter. Hey, you want to play quarterback? Come and work with me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
$10, whatever you had, like just come work. And it's just like, that's how that journey started. And this was February 2023. Yeah.
So we're a year into this.
Yeah.
And when I saw you got a nice
it's
group of kids you're grooming.
No, for sure. So it just really just took off. And that's kind of like a sign to tell me like, okay, yeah, you kind of meant to do this, dog. Like, this is what you're supposed to do.
If I was a parent and I was looking for a quarterback trainer, why you? What's up in there? There's the Tony Ballots of the world. There's
I met Tony.
The legends, Ron Beal.
Yeah, I met Ron
there's
too.
There's some legit quarterback trainers around here, right?
Draco Hines.
Right.
These are all guys that kind of,
right.
I talked to and mentor.
Yes.
He mentored me.
Right, yes.
But for me, like, I think it's my calling to work with kids. Not only am I a trainer, I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher.
Oh, nice.
Right. So, these kids in my school, not only do I develop quarterbacks, I develop all kids. And I have a really good rapport with kids. So I think when it comes to me, right, I'm a teacher, right? I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a father. I was a 4-year collegiate starter. Not only did I have great games, I had real bad games.
The lows.
Right. I've been in quarterback competitions where it's like in that summer you're fighting for a job, right? And my freshman year, I had a great all conference freshman rookie of the year season, and I went into a sophomore slump.
Right.
Threw more interceptions than touchdowns. This is something that happened to me. So a lot of the training that I give these kids, it's not about my highs. A lot of my best moments from them and teaching them come from my lowest moments, like playing this position.
Because this game will serve them to you.
And I don't mind telling them about those games where, shoot, I threw 3 interceptions and no touchdowns on the road and getting pulled and sitting there having to, deal with that. As a young, as a 20-year-old kid, how do you face that, How do you go in that locker room and look at those guys knowing you disappointed them? Like, you going to, tuck your tail or you going to figure it out?
I love it, man. And Coach, what I love most about that is, again, you're not shying away from the lows, right?
No.
Because those L's sometimes are some of our biggest lessons, right?
Yeah.
And because it's up here, especially for you guys that play a position. A lot of
sure.
It's up here. You got to be a tough SOB
No,
up
definitely.
here. You know what I'm saying? To play that position, like the way you process information, the amount of time that you have to do it. Everybody's when things go well, they're looking at you. When things go bad, they're looking at you. So I love the fact that parents watching this when you run this reel back. I love the fact that you said you weren't afraid to seek out some of those guys that's done it already, the Dricos and the Vills, and learn from them. Because I think experience is the best teacher.
No, for sure.
And so I love that about. So keep doing that.
Yeah.
Even for me, man, Coach, I'm 42 years old. I would like to say I'm successful, but I'm always been a sponge. I've gotten to where I've gotten because I wasn't afraid to, even for anybody. What you got, Coach?
No,
Teach me.
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to learn, right? So I think for you and all of us, keep being lifelong learners, right? It'll make life so much easier and smooth. So, Coach, I love that you gave that shout out about your training. No. I was going to say something else. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, no, I appreciate that. Like, yeah, and I reached out. Like you said, you mentioned Drico and Ronville. Those are some of the first guys. Funny that you say that. Like, I jumped into their DMs as soon as because I asked, I said, well, who's the hottest quarterback trainer? I think I asked that on my Facebook page.
Right.
So people were naming them. So I found them, reached out, and now Drico's pulled up to a session for Jalen. You know what I'm saying? And I asked him, like, critique this kid for me. You know what I'm saying? Give me your honest opinion about him. So he just pulled up. Like, he really believed in what I'm doing and really he pulled up. Like,
that's super dope, man. And I love to hear that. Drico reaching back. And I know Drico from my days with Hilt, from when they used to team up. Before you went to high school, and just watch him. So to love the fact that y'all teaming up, we're reaching out, we're still looking back for you. So that's super dope. And good luck, Drico, what is that, Meadow Creek?
Burkmore.
Yeah. Jalen, back to you, buddy. Let's talk about the quarterback position. All right, we know what Coach brings to you. You're in the dogfight to be the starter next year. What is the quarterback position? What does it mean to you to be a quarterback?
To be a leader, like to step up, to show people like what they can do, what I can do, and just make everybody else better around me.
What have been some of your lows in this process, right? Because let me set this up for you, because as me and Coach know, there are kids that's training from 6 years old, got a lot more rounds on target than you do. What have been some of your struggles with the position, where it be processing information quickly, your reads, your steps, the stuff that goes? What has been some of your struggles with this position that you've worked on?
Like some of my struggles, I know one for sure was like the mental of the quarterback position, because I just remember after a tournament with Clayco Elite, like I did so bad. Like I got taken out and they had put another quarterback in. I went home. I was crying that night. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
What I gotta do to fix this?
I remember that.
And then like I came back and I just kept working and I got better and better, and it's helped a lot.
Like, I love that word. I'm big on intangibles. Do you know the difference between intangible and tangible? No. I always tell people this. Tangible is things you can touch. These cups, money, these shoes, clothes, this tangible stuff. Especially for that position, the intangibles are what's going to separate you. Mental toughness, poise, self-confidence, right? Belief, love for your teammates. Those are the things that's going to separate you. And I love the word that you and Coach both have talked about: work, the journey. Fall in love with the work in that journey, man. Like I said, when things don't go right, for me, I'm going to work. If money gets low, I'm going to work. If things don't, I'm going to. That's always been my remedy to a lot of my problems. If it ain't working out, I'm going to work on something. You know what I'm saying? So
man, he said
I think keep that process of when things get down, I have a bad game, film study. Coach, man, what is it? My drop, my timing, what is it off? So I would just add that to you. But so let's talk about the positives. What are some positives you've had in the quarterback position?
Just last year, I took the JV team for Jonesboro to county championship.
Nice.
Yeah, I coached that team too.
Oh, you coached them. Congratulations! Shout out. So you got your man with you as you do. So that's a comfort love in itself. Yeah,
undefeated.
Good deal. So
we was down like 20-0 or something like that. In like the fourth quarter, I just stepped up. I brought my team back from that deficit, and like, I don't know, something just clicked, and I was going off all cylinders, throwing passes, completing them, everything. And then the team got the energy back up. We came back and ended up winning that game.
The championship.
That helped me mentally too.
Yes.
Because it showed me what I'm capable of.
Absolutely. We need to stack those wins. And just as I've been proponent of, finding what went wrong in the losses, but I love finding what went wrong in the positives. I think I think, Coach, so many times I use this in business, Jalen. We'll analyze a problem and we're so quick to spend all the time on the problem. Right. But when things go right, we kind of just gloss over that.
No, for sure.
And there's so many lessons to be learned, man. Let's talk about what did I do well when things were going right.
Right.
So I would encourage you to look at your wins too. Sometimes we won that game. Let's move on to the next one. No, there was a lot to be gleaned from that win too.
100%.
Listen, man. So Coach, back to you. We got Coach 10. How has it been being an offensive coordinator? How did you get to that? Your role on the high school right now. You're laughing. It was a journey.
Hey man, so this is just my second year coaching high school football. I started off at Jonesboro High School. So how I got to Jonesboro High School was the offensive coordinator there currently. Shout out Coach Calvin. I played ball with him at Savannah State.
Okay.
So he got word that I moved back to Atlanta, and I would come to games, Jonesboro games, like the year prior to me coaching, and I just sit in the stands. So we'll be on Messenger after the game talking just about the game, So eventually the following spring when I first started training, he got word of that. He was like, bro, come coach quarterbacks at Jonesboro.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So I took the job. And then that summer, they brought in another coach, another quarterback coach who used to play there. All right, so it was just kind of tough, difficult, with two quarterback coaches being at the same school. But, however, granted, it was an uncomfortable moment. It taught me a lot.
Yes.
So I stood in that. I was very uncomfortable, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But what I did instead of being on the sideline, I went to the booth. So when I went to the booth, I learned a lot. So I took that information and knowledge I learned from the booth, and in that offseason, I told my head coach, hey, look, respectfully, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm just looking for a bigger opportunity.
Absolutely.
So he respected it, and, he vouched for me on interviews, and I wound up taking a job at Morrow as a quarterback coach. That's all it was at first.
Right.
But the head coach saw me coaching in the Senior Bowl and was like, dude, I think you could really call plays. And I was like, for real? And he was like, no, for real. He was like, so I'm about to just give you a promotion. And then that's how I became the offensive coordinator.
Wow.
But, I really wasn't shocked because I coached them 7-on-7 for 2 years. I coached JV with them for a year. So I was just like, maybe, all this stuff is just happening fast. But I know I'm prepared for it because, I've done it before. And now, I have the experience in 1 year. I could have if it would have just been me being that quarterback coach, I think maybe I would have got not complacent, but I would have just stayed in that, in that position. But because, they brought in the other guy who's played for that head coach prior to, I had to make a choice. Am I going to sit here and, be mad about the situation or figure something out and get more out of this situation than I possibly could have had I sat in my feelings. So going to that booth, it really taught me a lot. So I really got to see the game from a whole nother level.
Right.
Like I played it under center, you getting it from this point of view straight on. Now I'm getting it from the top point of view when I already know what the quarterback's thinking from this point of view. So I used to talk to my quarterback like every other series, like, hey, bro, let me talk to you real quick. Put the headphones on.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, that good cop kind of voice, that Obi-Wan Kenobi to Luke Skywalker, like, hey, bro, like, look, come on, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, or when he did something good, hey, great throw, bro. Your hips and your shoulders were right where they needed to be.
Stuff that you can't see at field level. You just can't, right?
Right. So, RPO game. Hey, look, man, that overhang is coming down. Just pull it, bro. Throw the slant.
Right.
Small stuff like that. So that was preparing me for this position now. So
I love the gamemanship that goes into play calling and scheming and defense. What would you coin your philosophy as? When I called plays, I was a field guy, right? Obviously, I read what the defense is doing, or I'm already scripted for the first 15. I already know what I wanted based on the film I've watched. Yeah, these first 10 to 15, we run in regardless to see how they react. What's your philosophy on calling plays?
I'm more so that guy because I know what my guys can do.
Right.
I spend a lot of time with my guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I learned from being at Jonesboro. I spent a lot of time with their class. That's why our JV team was pretty good.
Right.
I kept them together. So I brought that philosophy over to Morrow, and I was like, you know, once I got there, I'm like, hey, I told the quarterback, hey, man, create an Instagram group chat with all the receivers and the running backs in it. And the receiver coach was like, dang, bro, we got to group me. I said, Coach, these kids don't use group me, but they're on Instagram every
day,
freaking second.
Right.
So we got to go ahead and get them where they at, meet them halfway.
Absolutely.
And we can have conversations on here. So it worked out. So I got to learn the guys. Then I got them on the field. I got to see what they can do. So now, you know, I say all that to say this, you know, I have my first 15 plays scripted based upon what we can do.
Right.
I know what your strengths are. I choose you guys before those guys any day. And if it doesn't work, then shoot, we'll make some adjustments.
Yeah.
I can make adjustments.
Got it.
And then some of these guys are smart enough to know. And that's another thing. Like, as an offensive coordinator, you can't be so stuck in your position of power. Like, when they're coming back to talk to you, like, man, no.
My way, no.
No. It's like, okay, let me hear what you got to say.
That is live feedback. That's instant feedback that they're bringing to you.
And what's better in 2024 is, you know, we have tablets on the sideline. So let's look at it to see if what you're saying really lines up to what's going on. So, you know, this is just, you know, there's a beauty of, you know, being able to, you know, be in a position to be an offensive coordinator, to have been in a position where there's 2 quarterback coaches on the team, you know. So it's really just bringing out the best of me, and I'm really excited to see, you know, how good I can possibly be at calling
awesome.
plays.
Well, I'm gonna be rooting y'all, and obviously, if y'all get a chance to send me a shirt or something.
Oh, for sure, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? I need the records. I love shirts.
I got you.
I don't plan to coach this year. My son's going to Woodward, so I'm going to take a year off.
Okay.
I coached at Milton and St. Frank, all those different East Coast Hamlets from. But I'm gonna take a year off and just focus on this and see where this goes. I love coaching.
Absolutely.
It's in my nature. I'm a leader. I love mentorship, but I want to just kind of focus on this. So I'll be rooting y'all on where you guys at. Jalen, back to you. We're gonna close here in a second.
All right.
What do people need to know about you outside of football? Like, what are you into, man? What are some hobbies? Tell us a little bit about you outside of football.
Man, well,
You're a video gamer. Like, what do you do for fun?
I mean, I don't really do it. Like, I'm really a simple guy.
Okay.
To be honest with you, like, I really don't do it. Like, I watch movies.
What
TV
type of
shows.
movies you watch? What you watch?
Marvel.
Okay, you're a Marvel guy.
I'm
Okay.
into Marvel.
You got to be doing something other than Marvel.
Right.
You're not a gamer.
I mean, I play Madden every now and
Okay.
then. And then I go out with some friends. But other than that, you really catch me on Instagram or reading or something.
I love that. You know, if you notice on the set right here, I'm a big reader too. I got into reading late, Coach. And
Yeah, me
Jill
too.
and
I just started.
I wish I had some mentors in the Marines that pushed me to read, and I wish my son, he's a reader. I got to make him a reader because
That's what's up.
there's so much information inside
Absolutely.
these, just thoughts and just the way we see or I approach things now. I've gleaned it from books, so I challenge you to read. I got these books on set because these books I read, and I think I recommend all athletes, outliers, talking about the 10,000 hours. Right, this book Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hours.
I'm gonna take a picture of that.
Another good one, Winning. This is Tim Grover. This is Michael Jordan and Kobe's trainer. Another very good book. Atomic Habits. Just another good one. We got a lot of good ones on set, but definitely make sure you get your reading on to stretch your mind.
Right.
Last one before we get out of here on you and I finished you, Coach. As you're going to a sophomore, coach is going to start coming. What should they know about you and your work ethic and who you are as a player?
I'm a hard worker. Like, if you tell me like what I need to work on, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna try my hardest to like figure it out, fix it, and get it right. So when I come back next time, you'll see I'm a different player than I was before. And yeah, basically.
Goals for this year. What are your goals for this year?
Trying to make first team all region because I got honorable mention.
I don't like
last
the
year.
word try.
Oh, I'm going to.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I got honorable mention last year, so I'm trying to step it up a level. So that's one goal, and then I'm trying to win state with my team too.
Y'all got chances to win state. You feel good about it?
We made the second round last year, so we just coming back for it all this year.
Got it. Who's your biggest? Who you think will be standing in your way this year?
We moved down to 4A.
Everybody shift.
What teams?
Themselves.
Right, themselves. Everybody shift. Yeah,
Themselves.
themselves. So it's on y'all to take it.
Yeah.
All right, yo, I'll be watching and checking out for you. Last thing I'll leave you with is this. I always ask kids, or we as a group, my kids will be here with me. That's your camera right there, right?
Right.
I want you to, well, two things you're going to do. It's Father's Day. I want you to give your dad a shout out on Father's Day. So you give him a message about Father's Day. But first, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself? If you were writing a letter, now I said, hey, Jalen, write a letter to Jalen 5 years from now, and I'm going to send that letter back to you in 5 years. What would you put in that letter?
You can ask the question one more time.
5 years from now, you're going to write a letter now, and 5 years you're going to send it to. So basically, where would you see yourself in 5 years?
I would see myself in college playing football for a Power 5 program, quarterbacking, and trying to win a national championship.
Love it. Give your dad a Father's Day shout out.
Shout out to my dad. He's always there for me.
Facts.
And he's always supporting me. He's been there the whole way. Like I'm proud of him, and I love him a lot. And I just hope he has a good Father Day.
Awesome. How do we find you, Jalen?
My Instagram, jmcwilson_6. You can find me there.
Nice. Coach, we're going to close this out.
All right.
I think the viewers know who you are and how to find you, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
What are your goals for this year and your team? How do you feel about your chances, your goals?
My goal for my team this year is for them to adopt and adapt to a winning mentality, and it starts before you get on the field, the simple things you talked about, the intangibles.
Yes.
Right? Integrity, character, hard work. What are you doing when nobody else is watching? Everybody, you ask the question, who all wants to play at the next level? Right? 2 hands, right? But are you doing those things to get there consistently? So that's what I want them to adopt and really put into their pedigree of playing football. If we can do that, this team can honestly, be special.
Love it.
Yeah.
What's the future for K10 Quarterback University?
Sky's the limit for K10. And I could say that now, looking back at it, 15 months ago, where it started into now where it's going and the opportunities, from, I train kids from the ages of 7 all the way to collegiate quarterbacks. So, I think the sky's the limit. I think it's going to be one of the premier, quarterback training programs, not only in the state, but in the country. And I stand on it.
I'll give you some advice from a consumer perspective. And from somebody, I'm a little older than you, so I've done it. I've paid for countless hours of training for my son, right?
Yeah.
What I loved about you and Domo was, and I would tell you to keep this, stay humble.
Yes.
No matter how big you get.
For sure.
Greet people like you did me.
Absolutely.
Just stay humble and grounded, right? No matter how big you get, because that's, as a consumer, people want that.
1,000%. I learned that from my grandfather. Before he passed, he was always like, you treat the janitor just like the CEO.
Yes.
And it's crazy because, and I shout out to Mr. Williams at Morrow High School. He's a custodian, man. That man, ever since I walked in that door, he's taking care of me, and making sure, hey, whatever I needed as a football coach, I got it. And that became because of respect. You got to earn that respect. So I came in there really not even knowing who he was, but that's that humble mentality. It'll never leave my body. There'll be times where you gotta talk your talk.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
Because they'll take it for kindness.
Yes, for weakness.
They take that kindness for weakness.
Yes.
But in the same sense, it's just like that humble bone will forever be embedded in my body.
Absolutely. Same thing as we get out. 2 for you. We're gonna give Dad a shout out. Whoever your father's in life, we're gonna give a shout out.
Oh yeah. Shout out to where are we at? Right
you right
here.
here. That's yours. Right
All
here.
right,
Yep.
shout out to Pops, man. Hey, should we right down the street, Pops? I'm gonna see you tomorrow. You know what we're gonna do tomorrow. I ain't even gotta say it, but I wouldn't be here without you. Honestly, me sitting in this chair is because of you. So I appreciate you.
5 years from now.
5 years from now, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't even know if I'll be coaching 5 years from now. I think I'll be doing this full time. Have my own facility, indoor, outdoor.
Love it.
Like that's where I kind of see this thing going.
Love it.
Yeah, I want to get a ring somewhere in between here, or at least get a taste of what a state championship looks like. Be there, but this right here, this brand, that's for sure, 100%.
You put in the atmosphere, so it has to happen.
100%.
Coach Garrett, Jalen, man, I can't thank you guys enough for the opportunity for us to sit down and just get to know you. From the time I met both of you at training, humble and full of intangibles. I'm wishing both of you nothing but luck this year. I'm going to be out watching you, rooting you on. I'm gonna send you a message on Instagram if I see something I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And Coach, you know you got my support, man. Anytime
Yes,
you
sir.
use this platform for whatever you want to bring some kids back.
No doubt.
I always tell people, sports told by youth. It's y'all show. It's not mine. Like I said, so the goal is, again, I always like to say this because I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. My goal is to, when I have guys like you on, obviously is to pass as many lessons, promote your business, whatever we can get from that. But when I have guys like you, Jalen, the goal is to get you ready for when the coaches come, to get you ready. I think Alex may be out there when you make it big and you get the invite to Born to compete. You're prepared, you're confident, you can articulate yourself. So that's what our goal is, to help you with your public speaking interview skills. So thank y'all very much for being 100%. Here, man. And make sure you're following us on all social media, on all platforms. Sports Told by You. We out of here, man. Happy Falls, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
That's a wrap. Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate you, man. That was dope.